So what I'm doing right now is I'm knocking all the stuff from stripping off. It's all really rough. I'm using 80 grit flexible block to get this stuff down into the plastic. You can see it gets brown when it gets down to the plastic. But yeah, it's like drains. Kind of looks like oatmeal when you're going through it. Once you get through it, it's definitely brown. My goal is to get this into a sandable primer. I get it into a sandable primer, then I'll start bolting the front end back together. When I bolt the front end back together, then I'll give it my final sanding. So, because if you don't, you get, this thing is so soft, you can see if you put any pressure on the back, so like I'm setting it against this core support, and you got to be really careful, because if you leave it in one position, it will bend and have a memory. So you have to be careful you don't do that. You got to work your way around it. Try not to press on it. Like right there, I mean, you can see it's got oatmeal under it. See, like right in here, spots of oatmeal. As soon as you put primer on that, it just jumps right out. Right there, you got two different colors. And the only way to get it out is to, because that's a dip. To get in there, I got it so it'll round up on my sanding block. And it's little bit by little bit till you get rid of it. But like I've stated before, you got to make sure that you don't, like this line right here, it's a nice solid line. You got to make sure you don't dink it or make it like that. You got to use a block to go across it. So you got a nice solid. Once I get the crud off it, then I'll do like what I did up here, and I'll put a primer on it, and then I'll go up to 120, and then 180, and then 220, and then we'll wipe it all down and do it with a whole primer. Final sand it, stick it up there, and then get everything taped off that I don't want painted, and then, you know, put it on there and then paint it. So it's a process. You see what I run it across there? You know, high, low in the center because it's dished. It's convex or concave. Convex is this way, so it's concave, and it's full of oatmeal inside it. So you gotta go, when you're sanding, you go like this up to it to get rid of that. Like right here, I got that. The only way to get that is to go up with it. And try not to dig a hole while you're doing it. I try to go this way, I try to go that way. crisscross as much as you can. But if you don't get those out of there, those are high spots. And that's that cruddy oatmeal. Okay, so I'm doing a wipe down before I put some primer on it. Got it, I would say I did 80 grit and then I did 180 grit. So I got it pretty close. But, sorry, just a second. I need to get some sandable primer on it, so I don't want to put holes in it. So I'll put some sandable primer on it and hit it with 180 again, and then go up to 220. Maybe hit it again with some sander primer, and then yeah, then we'll start getting closer. But there's, you know, this fender has got some. Or this bumper, excuse me, bumper cover. It's got some cracks in it and stuff like that that I'm going to need to fill. But I got to get some primer in it before I can get to that point. So getting really close, I would say, to having this thing where, except for this area, this right here is going to have to be a whole thing. So. But I'll do that when I got it all in primer. So just making sure that everything is wiped clean so I get a good base on the primer. We'll get back at you and get some primer on it. So I don't know if you can see it in this video, but we got crack right here. And we've got a crack over here. It's like somebody ran into something. So I'm going to take and file it out right there. And I'm going to put an epoxy in there on both sides. Here. This over here has got to be filled. It was filled prior, so I'm going to fill that with Bondo. Yep, I'm going to finish the coating of the primer on it today and fill that. And then in the next video, show me sanding it off and then filling the holes with Bondo, giving a sand. You see I got some spots that showed up here I'm going to have to get. But I want to get some sandable primer on there so I got something to sand. So, all right, here we go. All right, so we got it filled. I'll let that harden up and we'll sand it down. And that should keep that from growing. So I guess in closing today and working on this project until the end of this video, it looks pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, if you get down into it, you see little gouges and stuff that I'm going to have to use spot putty. I don't know if you can see that. It's pretty white. I'm going to have to use spot putty here and there. I got some up here and down there. And, you know, I definitely am going to have to get some filler primer on it. But the initial primer is on it, and I think it looks pretty good. You can see some scratches, but I'll hit it with 220 and try to smooth all that out, get some primer in it, some more fill primer, and then we'll see how it looks. But primer's hard to get right now, at least in our area, so I'm going to make a big Eastwood order and buy enough primer to do the car and start spraying with the with my spray gun and get rid of these spray bombs, because that just sucks. So moving up, working on my first project. So it looks like everything's sticking really good. I don't see any bubbles or weird spots. I have one run down here in the corner. I don't know if you can see that, but one little tiny run, but oh well. I didn't claim to be a painter yet. I'm still working on it. Learning, but I got this, this is all hardening up really good. So I got that crack good and filled there. Got the crack good and filled here. So we'll let that harden up for a few days and then hit that with sander or sandpaper and get that down to level. And yep, moving on. This was a big project. This was a mess. Watch my other videos so you can see how big of a mess it was. So right now I think it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty excited. But I got to move on and get other things done. I got to get the rest of the car stripped and, you know, got to get the gas tank done, you know, mechanical stuff done. But I got one more or two more rust spots. I got this rust spot right here. This hole I got to fix so that I have a good spot for my fender to bolt to. And then I've got this back here. I've got this in here. I've got to put a plate right in there. That shouldn't be too bad. And that's just for this latch. See, somebody burned the shit out of it. So anyways, we'll get that done. And then I can get this back tail panel. I got it about sanded down right now. So I'm probably just going to sand it off. I'm probably not going to strip it. And then, but I got to get up in here and clean this gutter out. And then I'll start stripping this quarter and the roof. Doors got to come off. And then we've got some floor pan stuff to fix. So we're going to order those. Floor pans right now, I think they're not in stock. So we need to wait for them to get in stock and then get those ordered. Pull up the carpet so I can weld it without starting this place on fire. And then we'll put everything back in it. And then we have to find a couple of doors, find at least one door. The other door is fine. It just needs to be painted. The passenger door is rotted out underneath it. And that door had all the power wires cut, so I don't think that was the original door. So, because the sill has no rust, whatever, the rocker, the sill, yeah, this is all real good. This has never been touched. It's all good stuff. So closing, got that epoxy in, got the cracks filled, got the whole thing's in primer now, and it's looking good. So stay tuned. Woohoo!